The NFL draft begins this Thursday, and Nebraska is boasting the best class we've seen from them in over a decade. So in today's video, I'm going to make my final predictions for every single Husker, who gets selected, what round, what team. Is Ty Robinson going to sneak into the first round? What's going on with guys like Nash Hutmacher, Isaiah Neyor, who goes undrafted, and so much more. I'm going to answer all of these questions, but before we get into it, hit that like button if you're fired up about hearing a couple Nebraska players get their name called this weekend. And really quick, if you support what I'm doing here, daily Husker football content, daily uploads this summer, talking recruiting, talking about this team going into the year, please join the family, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it, talking about Nebraska and the NFL draft. This is the best draft class we've seen from the Big Red in well over a decade. Get this. If 5 or more players hear their name called on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, that will be the most draft picks we've seen from Nebraska since 2011, and that's likely going to happen. So again, it's going to be a busy weekend. A lot of Huskers are going to find their new home in the professionals. So I want to get things started with the first guy who's going to come off the board from Nebraska. You already know who this is, Ty Robinson. Again, he had a great NFL combine. He had a great pro day. He's just been rising up the draft boards. A couple months ago, he was considered, a 6th round, 5th round pick. Right now, he's pretty much consensus day 2 guy. I predict that Ty Robinson will be drafted in the 2nd round to the Philadelphia Eagles, pick 64. Listen, this is a match made in heaven. Philadelphia, they need another defensive lineman. They lost a couple guys in free agency. We know that they love Nebraska guys. They have Cam Jurgens, who they just paid a big extension. They have O'Shawn Mathis. They had Jack Stoll in the past, so they love their Nebraska Cornhuskers for whatever reason. They're going to add another one here in Ty Robinson. They love these high upside defensive linemen who are just game wreckers. That's what we get here with Ty Robinson. So again, they need a defensive lineman. They love Nebraska. They really were impressed with Ty Robinson, again, with how he performed at the NFL Combine, running the best time out of any defensive lineman his size. So I really, really like this fit for Ty. I believe he's going to be a 2nd round draft pick. I could see him go as high as maybe the 40s, right? He is going to really fly up the draft board. I think somebody's going to reach on him. Is he going to go in the 1st round? Probably not. I'd say 99% he won't. But again, there's going to be a team. He's going to get drafted probably higher than he should be because people really like his athletic upside. And they think that his game is going to translate better to the pros than even what it did in college. So Ty Robinson, that's my first prediction. 2nd round to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go to the 2nd player who I believe will be drafted for Nebraska. This is Tommi Hill. I believe he will be selected in the 5th round, pick 147 to the 49ers. So listen, Tommi Hill, just the opposite of Ty Robinson, right? Ty Robinson's stock has went up over time. Tommi Hill's stock has went down. He basically started off as a potential 1st rounder, 2nd rounder. I believe he'll get picked in the 5th round, and it's really not his fault. He's been injured, of course, basically since that Illinois game, really didn't go through the combine, didn't really go through his pro day either. So a lot of these scouts, they just haven't seen him play, but he still has a lot of traits that, a lot of scouts like. Again, he's 6'2". He is one of the biggest builds out of any corner in the draft. He has a lot of good weight on him. He's a good tackler. So I really like this fit for the 49ers. They like these long, rangier corners, guys who are physical, who can play all over. A lot of NFL scouts think that Tommi Hill might be a safety at the next level. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But 5th round, I feel really confident about that. And again, I like this landing spot for Tommi. Keeping it with the 5th round. Let's go to Thomas Fidone. I believe he will be selected in that round. Thomas Fidone, a guy who, and I thought for a long time he was going to go undrafted just because of his injuries, right? Like, he has that athletic upside. We all are aware of it. But when you blow at both knees, it's risky. It's risky to draft those type of players. So I do believe he'll be drafted. I think it's going to be a 5th rounder, and I think it will be to the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, the 158th pick. Listen, Jim Harbaugh is a guy who really likes that tight end position. Their core is not very good. Thomas Fidone is a guy who can stretch the field, can't really block at a high level. That's not really what they're going to ask him to do. They're just going to ask him to be a vertical threat who can make plays after the catch. So we like that fit to the Chargers. I think he'll be a 5th rounder. I could see him go to the 6th. I could see him go to the 7th. I could see Fidone be an UDFA with all of his injuries, but I'm going to choose to believe that he's going to get drafted in the 5th round. Keeping it with some more selections. Let's go to the 6th round here. Isaiah Neyor will come off the board to the Bengals at 193. Isaiah Neyor, with how good of a combine he had, with how good of a Shrine Bowl he had, listen, I understand the production wasn't there, and I understand the dropping. That's a huge problem. But guys like him rarely go undrafted, The ability to be 6'4", to run a 4.4 40-yard dash, right? I mean, he has great length, great arm size, right? I mean, he just checks a lot of boxes, and there were a lot of NFL teams that are just enamored with him, right? You go back to our pro day that we hosted in Lincoln. Most of the NFL scouts that were there, they were there to see Isaiah Neyor. Okay, they weren't there to see Ty Robinson. They weren't there to see Fidone. They really weren't there to see Tommi Hill, who didn't actually perform. They were there to see Isaiah. And he didn't have the greatest pro day, but he still flashed a lot of those physical traits. I think he's going to land with the Bengals. Troy Walters, our pass offensive coordinator, is with their staff. He really likes his game. He met with them a couple times. So I think Isaiah Neyor going to go to the Bengals. Again, it's a low risk type, or it's a high risk type of move, but I think it could pay off for Cincinnati if they use his athletic upside. Let's keep it with the 7th round. A guy who I believe will be Nebraska's last selection in this draft. I think Nash Hutmacher will, in fact, get drafted in the 7th round. He's either going to go UDFAS or he's going to be 7th rounder. I think he will be drafted by the Seattle Seahawks at 234. Listen, they need defensive line help. They need more bodies there in the trenches. Nash, a guy who still has a lot of high athletic upside. We know, of course, him being a wrestler in the past. It's just tough with him not going to the NFL Combine. When you don't go to the NFL Combine, it's really hard for you to go, anywhere before the 5th or 6th round. Okay, because a lot of those scouts, they just haven't seen you play. They haven't seen your athletic upside. They haven't seen the laser 40 time. So it's really hard to tell how good of a player you actually are outside of the film. So Nash Hutmacher, I believe he still will go and get drafted 7th round to the Seahawks. I like that fit a lot. So those are the 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers who I think will be drafted. That is the most we've seen from the Big Red since 2011, where we had a stacked draft class. Prince Amukamara, Roy Halou, Alex Henry, Dejon Gomes, Niles Paul, Keith Williams, Eric Hagg. So, I mean, a lot of good guys in that 2011 class, but I'm going to keep it real quick with the UDFAs. Who goes undrafted for Nebraska? I also have this predicted. So I think Ben Scott's going to go undrafted. I think he's going to get an opportunity with the Arizona Cardinals. Again, he went to Arizona State originally, so I think he's going to get a training camp deal with the Cardinals. Probably won't make the team, but hopefully he can make the practice squad. And then MJ Sherman as well. I think MJ Sherman's going to go undrafted. He worked out with a couple teams. I think he's going to sign with the Washington Commanders. He worked out with them for a pro day a couple weeks ago, so I think they were impressed with him. Obviously not impressed enough to draft him, but I think he will sign with the Commanders as a UDFA. So other than that, I don't expect any other Nebraska Cornhuskers to get selected or really get a spot as a UDFA. We might see Bryce Benhart in there. He's definitely not going to get drafted. He'll probably get picked up as a UDFA. I mean, Jamal Banks, he just has no speed, right? Like, I love Jamal Banks' game, but you need speed at the next level, and he's a 4.7 guy. So I don't think he's going to go to the NFL or at least get an opportunity. And then other than that, I can't think of anybody. I think those are the guys who will get drafted who will be UDFAs. Let me know your thoughts down below. What are your predictions? Where do you think Ty is going to get selected? Where do you think a guy like Tommi is going to get selected? I want to hear what you have to say. Hey, once again, if you made this far in the video, hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go grab, go on my Rhule, and I'll see you in the next one.